everything about Combs' alleged sex trafficking activities. Although she's not been arrested or charged, the federal indictment accuses Combs of using high-ranking supervisors to facilitate and cover up the abuse, with Karam allegedly organizing freak-offs involving sex workers and raids on Diddy's mansions, seized narcotics with over 1,000 bottles. In a separate lawsuit, Little Rod, Karam is compared to Ghislaine Maxwell, to Sean Combs, Jeffrey Epstein, and accused of ordering sex workers for Combs. Little Rod also alleges she made staff carry drugs for Combs. Okay. At this point, everyone knows Diddy's done.
Reports suggest that someone has been sentenced to life in prison, meaning they will remain incarcerated for the rest of their life. At the same time, Diddy might be facing several years in prison due to serious legal charges in an ongoing case.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and the sex trafficking. So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
Surveillance video shows Diddy being arrested at a hotel in Manhattan last week. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Key is reporting live from the location where it happened.
Combs investigation. New surveillance video shows Combs being taken into custody in a Manhattan hotel last week. Our senior investigative correspondent.
Diddy will stay in jail after a judge denied his bail request, ruling against his appeal to be released while his legal case continues.
Mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been denied bail as he awaits trial on federal charges. Combs pleaded not guilty to racketeering, sex trafficking and transporting for prostitution in a New York court. Prosecutors allege the 54-year-old created a criminal enterprise through his business empire, which he has allegedly run since about 2008. They claim Combs gave victims a variety of party drugs during extended sexual performances, and that he used his business associates, staff and other personnel to help conceal his abuse. His lawyer says he'll appeal the decision to hold the rapper without bail. If convicted, Combs faces a minimum of 15 years in prison.
A former warden has expressed concerns about Diddy's safety in jail, warning that he could face risks from the conditions or possible threats while incarcerated.
You say his fame makes him a target.
Yes, in my humble estimation, his life, his safety is in jeopardy in any correctional lockup right now. If it is true, as reported, that he is housed in the special housing unit, it's important to note that the special housing unit is a lockdown, 24-hour lockdown unit. The MDC Brooklyn is a high-rise. The vast majority of the floors are general population floors. But the special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown facility. So this is for Mr. Combs' protection. His incredible worldwide celebrity combined with the allegations, the charges now, and indictment, of course, of acts of violence against women make him a very attractive target. So obviously they need to safeguard.
Diddy's alleged crimes, such as racketeering and misconduct, have put a stain on his music legacy. Many are shocked by his actions and believe he could face a lengthy prison sentence.
It's bad boy for life. We all love a bad boy, don't we? Yeah? Not a sex trafficker, we don't. This has just ruined so many good songs for me. Biggie's album has P. Diddy all throughout it, doing his little ad-libs that was shit, but we allowed it. More money, more problems will never sound the same again. And the D to the A to the DDY. It's fucked. Yeah, we'll have a bit of a laugh, don't we, before we get into the miserable, disgusting crimes he's really actually committed. So yeah, I think this is like my fourth video on P. Diddy, because for whatever reason, the man cannot stop committing crimes. And he was actually very truthful when he said bad boy for life, because life is exactly what he's looking at, or at least 25 to life. Because this man, after reading the indictment on him, he's fucked. He is absolutely fucked. He is going from that beautiful mansion he owns straight to a miserable, grotty little jail cell. And you know what? He's such a fucking prick. He really deserves it. So far, he's been charged with racketeering, which is basically criminal activities designed to gain profit disguised as legitimate business deals. Sex trafficking by fraud, force, or coercion. This is the practice of illegally transporting people for sexual exploitation. And then also transporting people to engage in prostitution. And honestly, reading all of this, it's just like a slam dunk.
Dunk has made serious accusations against Diddy, including claims of trafficking, forced labor, and coercion. Reports suggest he used his power to manipulate and intimidate women for his own benefit.
His freak-offs. What a word that's become, honestly. And just to give you a little list of exactly what him and his employees got up to here, we've got sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Wow. Like, you know what? You're P. Diddy. You've got all the money in the world. You don't need to do any of this. But for some people, the more powerful they get, the more dark their imagination becomes, and the more they want to push the boundaries to do the craziest fucked up shit possible. And this is what happens when a psychopath gets this much power. Even those words coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, it wasn't enough for him to get consenting, prostitutes who do this by trade. What a trade. Do you know what I mean? I don't remember that in my apprenticeship. But people who do this for a living anyway. It was fun for him to take people who would never ordinarily have been a prostitute into that so that they could become his toys. And by the sounds of it, P. Diddy and his employees would do whatever it took to get women into his inner circle to participate in whatever fucked up shit he was into. He would use threats. He would use intimidation. He would even use the offer of a romantic relationship, that lover boy method that Andrew Tate made famous.
Talia Graves has filed a lawsuit claiming that Diddy and his bodyguard drugged, restrained, and assaulted her in 2001, while also recording the incident. She is being represented by well-known attorney Gloria Allred, famous for handling high-profile cases.
With more accusations against the music mogul, Talia Graves claims in a civil lawsuit that Combs and a bodyguard drugged, bound, and raped her in 2001 and filmed the incident. Graves is represented by famed litigator Gloria Allred, who is no stranger to representing women in high-profile cases, okay? Here's a list. Speaking of Gloria Allred here, okay? Here's a list of just some of the women she's represented in the past. Look at this list right here. O.J. Simpson trial, remember that Scott Peterson trial, Tiger Woods scandal, Bill Cosby scandal, Anthony Weiner, former representative out of New York. Remember that? All of that stuff happened. That's who she's represented. Allred represented Amber Fry, the girlfriend of Scott Peterson, who was convicted of killing his wife and unborn son. And most notably, she represented more than half of the 50-plus women who've accused Bill Cosby of rape and molestation.
Diddy's arrest on charges of physical abuse and racketeering has shocked the hip-hop community, sparking intense debates about his actions. The allegations also include claims of drug abuse and manipulation related to his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
The arrest on sexual abuse and racketeering charges of Sean Combs, known alternately as Puffy or Diddy, sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world and is sparking vigorous debates online about who knew what, when, and for how long, and who else might have been involved. Combs insists he's innocent, but a judge rejected his lawyer's bail proposal because he had concerns that Combs might try to tamper with witnesses. Combs' downfall was years in the making and involved the abuse of Cassie Ventura, his former girlfriend, and others. According to friend of the show, Teray, who has new reporting on what led to the downfall of Diddy, Combs' descent into darkness was due in part to, quote, drug abuse. It's central to why he's now facing a mountain of serious charges. When Diddy and Cassie were together, he dragged Cassie down into addiction. After she left him, someone said, she went to rehab to get control of her life, which led to a process of healing, not just from the drugs, but from the abuse. From there, she found the courage to speak up. Joining me now is Teray, who, as I mentioned, has been reporting about Diddy on his Substack, Culture Fries, and on his Teray Show podcast. Teray, my friend, talk about more that you learned about what led to Diddy's downfall.
Well, Cassie was recording an album for about 10 years. She made a ton of songs. She made collabs. She had producers. She thought she was actually working on an album. that was ultimately a giant pacifier to keep her happy while Diddy was actually using her for other things.
The racketeering charges imply that several people may have been involved in Diddy's alleged crimes. This raises questions about who else might have participated, with some potentially cooperating with law enforcement, while others may be staying quiet out of fear. Diddy is awaiting trial and is currently being held at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, a facility known for its tough conditions and history of violence. His lawyers are requesting bail, citing serious concerns for his safety while he's incarcerated.
Locked up in a federal jail that has been plagued by harsh conditions and violence. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn has seen multiple deaths in recent years. An inmate was stabbed to death in July, and several others have died by suicide. It's these reasons, among others, that Combs' lawyers are fighting to get him out of there. They want him released on bail rather than being kept in jail while he awaits trial on sex trafficking charges. Combs is just the latest high-profile defendant to be locked up at MDC Brooklyn.
Once powerful and dismissive of others, Diddy now faces a new reality in prison, where he must follow orders from those with more authority. His future may hinge on negotiating a deal to avoid a life sentence.
Puff always had a problem of listening to people that he thought that was less than him. And now he got to listen to people that got power over him, but never had as much as he had. He's going to have a big problem in the prison system. He's going to have a real big problem in the prison system, bro. And having to listen to those COs and having to listen to everybody from a person that had all the power in the world that we thought. Now, seems like the tables is turning. If these people have it their way, he's gonna be spending the rest of his life in the prison system. He better hope that they want to make a deal, but I don't think so, or they want somebody else. He better hope, and he got something to offer them.
There have been calls for authorities to investigate Kim Porter's death. Before she passed away, she reportedly shared a drive containing notes and diary entries, which have now been published in a book.
People have been calling for the authorities to open up an investigation into the death of Kim Porter. However, before she died, it is reported and said by a publisher that she gave some friends a drive featuring notes, her diary entries. And now that has been published online. If you type in Kim's Lost Words, the book will show up. You can get it online. Right now I see it's on sale for $22.49. What's interesting is the book was published on September the 6th.
Diddy faces significant risks if placed in the general prison population and is unlikely to be granted bail. Moving him to a safer facility is a complicated process, making his release seem unlikely.
Takes it to GP, general population, someone's gonna stick a knife in him, they're gonna put some bars of soap in a sock and boom, they're gonna pop him over the head and split his head open like a watermelon. They cannot GP him at all. And this nonsense about him getting bail, they're never gonna give him bail. He wants to go to Essex County, New Jersey, to go to a cushy jail there. Remember, he's not a federal inmate. He's a U.S. Marshal detainee. So they just house him at MDC. And in order to send him to Jersey, they would have to transport him back and forth several times a week with like 6 marshals. They put him in one car and there'd be a car behind him and a car in front of him. They're not going to do that. So his life essentially at this point is just free.
Stephen A. Smith discussed on his podcast that Diddy's life could be in danger while in prison, highlighting how serious the situation is.
Wow. Suge Knight, remember him? Death Row Rex, remember him? He decided to share some advice with Diddy on his show. Yes, he does have a show from prison. It's called Collect Call with Suge Knight. Here's what he had to say. Look at these quotes. Quote, I'll tell you what, Puffy, your life is in danger because you know the secrets of who's involved in that little secret room you guys are participating in. You know they're going to get you if they can. Puffy, I'm going to give you some real advice. 2 quick things. You got to make a decision. I'm going to have videotapes on you. I'm going to have audio tapes on you. I'm going to have evidence where you're going to have to capitulate to my demands, so you're going to need to do what I want you to do. That's extortion. It also mentioned murder. What do you think Al B. Sure is alluding to? Kim Porter's gone. The mother of 3 children from P. Diddy is gone. And Al B. Sure goes on his Instagram page with 3 separate Instagram posts bringing this stuff up, imploring the society and the communities at large, particularly the hip-hop and R&B community.
MDC and Essex County jails are known for their dangerous conditions, with Essex especially notorious for violence and gang control. Diddy could face serious threats unless he is placed in protective custody.
MDC is worse than it was then, all right? But let me tell you about Essex County. Essex County. My friend says it's the worst in New Jersey. It's a very serious jail. People get beat up left and right. My friend said it was the worst spot, constant lockdowns, and the food was beyond disgusting. Now, he said it was beyond disgusting there. He's saying that it was great at MDC when we were first there, and it was disgusting. All right? But he said it might be better for him because MDC is really fucked up now, and the MS-13 are controlling. From what I hear, MS-13 is now controlling MDC. These are folks, this is information that came from somebody who just got released and knows these prisons. So I don't know why this attorney wants to get him transferred from MDC to Essex. It's like from worse to worse.
A major change for Diddy is the sharp contrast between his once extravagant lifestyle and the harsh reality of prison food, which is far from appealing.
Used to eat delicious things like duck and chicken, but now it's downgraded to some potatoes. Not a very appetizing meal that he had last night. And by the way, if you've heard of MDC Brooklyn, this detention center, it's probably because R. Kelly has stayed there, Fetty Wap has stayed there, Michael Cohen, Allison Mack, and Ghislaine Maxwell. A lot of famous people have gone here before. Really, really rough, we're told.
Even with his legal team's hard work, Diddy is still in jail without bail. The judge decided he is a flight risk and a danger to others.
The U.S. attorney had argued that he was a flight risk and also a danger to society. Seems like the judge sided with them. So he is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. And we were told that he used to eat delicious things like duck and chicken, but now it's downgraded to some potatoes. Not a very appetizing meal that he had last night. And by the way, if you've heard of MDC Brooklyn, this detention center, it's probably because R. Kelly has stayed there, Fetty Wap has stayed there, Michael Cohen, Allison Mack, and Ghislaine Maxwell. A lot of famous people have gone here before. Really, really rough, we're told. By the way, if he is found guilty, he faces a minimum of, I think it's 12 years in prison and a statutory maximum of life in prison. So he's really facing some serious time.
And for the judge to not accept this bond offering, to me, says everything you need to know. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was a 12-page.
Diddy is facing possible charges like bribery, extortion, fraud, and more under RICO laws. His case is being compared to high-profile ones like Epstein's, with reports suggesting his team might be involved in manipulation and federal investigation.
It's actually fraudulent, bribery, extortion, fraud, money laundering, drug trafficking, embezzlement. What's the RICO? What's the racketeering in your opinion of what could potentially be going on with Diddy, just based on everyone you've interviewed?
Well, there's so many categories to it, right? I mean, you get to pick and choose. They get to pick and choose.
Sure.
The way they wrote this law allows them to go after people for different reasons. Okay, you pick and choose which one this is. He's in most of them.
Yeah,
he's in most of them. So Stephen A. Smith yesterday is doing a show with another guy that they have on, and the other guy says, this isn't just about Diddy. Diddy's life is on the line right now, and people, I mean, it's just, at any point, anything could happen to him. Forget about the fact that, you know, he's got a lot of risk on the line. Think about him, the comparison with him and Epstein, right? Here's a story. Meet Sean Diddy Combs' manipulator-in-chief, who was once compared to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, they called him the Black Epstein.
Let me read this to you.
Find that picture.
Christina Karam, chief of staff at Combs Enterprises, and described as Diddy as his right hand, is alleged to be the manipulator-in-chief in federal investigation as close to...
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.